Hello, I am Dr. Pam Bailey, the Interim Associate Dean for the College of Education at Mary Baldwin University. I will be sharing information for the 2020-2021 academic year. As part of delivering an approved program, Mary Baldwin is currently accredited by the Council for the Accreditation for Education Preparation, or CAEP, via TEAC Legacy. In addition to having an approved program, we seek that approval through the Virginia Department of Education, the VDOE. We are accredited through CAEP via TEAC Legacy and are currently in the CAEP review and approval process for accreditation. The process for accreditation is very action-oriented, like action research, with faculty collecting, analyzing, and sharing data that is used to inform our practice. As shared last year, the self-study report was submitted to CAEP in February. CAEP then provided us with feedback, the formative feedback document, which we received during the summer of 2021. We were able to provide clarity on their questions. Stakeholders were given the opportunity to provide comments to CAEP regarding their actions and interactions with the College of Education. We appreciate everyone who took the time to do so. The site visit was held during November. The CAEP site review team talked with many focus groups during that time. Again, we appreciate all that took the time to be a part of one of those teams. The final decision regarding our accreditation will be shared by CAEP late spring or early summer. Those who are stakeholders are PK-12 schools and educators, other EPPs in our collaborative MCV group, community members with interest in education, Mary Baldwin alumni, current students, and the university community are those that we are sharing our actions, reactions, and responses to the 2020-2021 data and request comments to have to what we have done. A survey link will be shared at the end of this video for you to do so. Standard 1 is about content pedagogical knowledge. For this standard on content and pedagogical knowledge, you will see on the slide an example of some of the instruments and the documents. The data we collected indicated that candidate learning of content related to in-task standards is achieved at various levels in the teacher education program, not just at student teaching. The data for Standard 1 demonstrated that of the classrooms represented, our candidates have access to diverse P12 populations, whether they were diverse due to students with disabilities, ELL students, minorities, socioeconomic status, or giftedness. New evidence is being gathered on how we are showing ethics assessment data. The ethics assessment must be passed, but we are now looking at what it takes for a student to be successful with this assessment. Changes have been made to incorporate more technology into our courses and other expectations, but there is a suggestion to review the ISTE standards for educators so we might further enhance candidates' knowledge of technology, digital media, data manipulation, and web application. Standard 2 is about clinical partnerships and practice. For this standard, you will also see on the slide an example of the instruments and the documents. The College of Education works directly with internal and external stakeholders, including the Mid-Valley Consortium for Teacher Education, the College of Education faculty and staff, and P12 schools and school division teachers and administrators. We are continuing our work with our partners to ensure co-developed and mutually agreeable expectations are articulating our desire to promote understanding and cooperation. Our students experience placements that expose them to diverse students and prepare them for working with all learners. Our placement sites are inclusive of a variety of locales in Virginia that included urban, rural, and city. Data showed that our students were placed in schools with student populations that represented the nation's diversity, thereby exposing the candidates to diverse students and preparing them for working with all learners. As we look to the future, We want and need to continue to identify ways to engage candidates, alums, teachers, cooperating teachers, and others in virtual learning networks. This might be a collaborative learning community and hub that provides leadership and learning opportunities to pre-service teachers and current educational professionals, as well as cultivate and sustain leaders for the future. The data team also discussed if there was a better way to evaluate our candidates in practicum experiences and thoughts about evaluating student teaching in their own classroom. Standard 3 is about candidate quality, recruitment, and selectivity. Provided on this slide is another example of a list of documents to be used to provide information, along with collecting and analyzing the data for Standard 3. Documents include the College of Education level programs progression that have been current and modified to meet all expectations. In addition, the Standard 3 team also looks at assessments from Standard 1, but through the lens of demographic and candidate qualities. As a small EPP, we continue to reflect on the data so that we might recruit and select quality individuals into the teaching profession. In a time of teacher shortage, Mary Baldwin hired a graduate admissions recruiter in November of 2020, whose focus is the College of Education and its academic programs. We continue to honor the Virginia Community College Articulation Agreement to support students continuing their education at Mary Baldwin. Recruitment efforts strive to attract a diverse student population through fairs and communication with school divisions about the College of Education offerings. Liberal Arts and Interdisciplinary Studies, the LAIS, is the major that leads to undergraduate program completion and licensure eligibility. As an example of our commitment to diversity, of the LAIS group of students, 17% identified as racially diverse. For the undergraduates wishing the bachelor's to master's approach, 14% represented students of color. Retention efforts have been supported with faculty becoming more aware of how to use Dropout Detective, that is through Canvas, and in the Student of Concern, a Mary Baldwin University initiative. To ensure quality candidates and completers, all must complete expectations based on that college level of program progression. A document shared with candidates and available on our website. However, barriers continue to be external testing requirements, such as the Praxis 2 and assessments that include mathematics and writing, as we fully adhere to CAEP standards for candidacy and the BDOE admission requirements for high-quality candidates. Even though the minimum CAEP requirements have been met, the standard team continues to discuss increasing the diversity of our EPP candidates through the admission process and processes, as well as streamlining internal and external recruitment efforts. Standard 4 is about program impact. Provided on this slide is an example of assessments used to collect and analyze data for Standard 4. Even though we met the minimum requirement for this standard, challenges continue. This includes assessments given on the slide that are mainly self-reported data by the completers as they volunteer their time to share requested information, such as their personal evaluation scores and their student performance data. Besides volunteering of their time to present the information, challenges continue with the tracking of completers' employment information. We are given some information from the VDOE, but some tracking is done by staff. Technology was a concern that was mentioned in the past and continues to be a challenge for new teachers to master, as there are many different platforms and programs the schools incorporate into their instruction. Mary Baldwin University has joined the Virginia Education Assessment Collaborative, or the VAC. By engaging in this endeavor with other EPPs in the state, we will be able to lean on valid and reliable measures for soliciting completer and employer feedback. In addition, because our data will be part of a larger data set, we will be able to engage in longitudinal as well as comparative data analysis and triangulation of the data, all of which will be used to determine if changes need to be made to our curriculum. We look forward to using the VIAC Completer Survey and the VIAC Employer Survey. Standard 5 is Provider Quality Assurance and Continuous Improvement. In order to maintain a quality program in data analysis, the Quality Assurance of Systems Handbook was created by pulling information from each of the standard teams together to visually show the interwoven and depth of our continued data analysis. The QAS Handbook contains general information as well as identifying the assessment tools used by each standard and the data sources. Mary Baldwin's College of Education continues to review data regularly, with data digs being done by each of the CAEP standard teams. The result of their analysis is continually used to enhance our programs, policies, and practices so that Mary Baldwin is and remains on the cutting edge of teacher education. EPP performance is shared with stakeholders annually, as well as within committees and organizations. The Student Performance Data website is shared here as well. Your input is welcome in the decision making. Some of the feedback from the 2019-2020 report is shown on this slide. All have not been forgotten as we continually take suggestions into consideration as we are able. We continue to respond to the pandemic by continuing our work with the VDOE, the Virginia Deans and Directors, and sharing information to support our pre-service teachers. The EPP appreciates and looks forward to many years of closely working with our school divisions to provide quality experiences for our students, and to that we are thankful. Please go to the link and complete the survey as we value your input. Thank you again for supporting Mary Baldwin's College of Education.